what's up, everybody? Welcome to a new Comic Crusaders, a GeekFest special. The third, that's right, the third one. And this time we're talking to an awesome creator that has a film that I actually got a chance to see early. So actually pretty cool and scary. I need to find out when he made this because, again, he may be telling the future here. Very talented individual, the one and only. We guess it's Luke G.
Hey, thanks for having me, Al.
No, Luke, thanks for coming on. And a question for you. I didn't want to murder your name. How do you pronounce your last name?
It's a tough one. I pronounce it Guidici.
Guidici. All right.
Yeah, but I've heard, when I was younger, I used to correct people, and now I just say, that's fine, or just call me Luke. Just keeps it simple.
And I'm calling you Luke G right here. That's gonna be.
I like Luke G. Yeah. That works too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Brother, you have an awesome film that's going to be touring with GeekFest this year. It's called Sundown Trail. Pretty cool. But before we get into this, a little bit about yourself. I mean, where you from, where you hailing from, and what led to your journey to become a filmmaker?
Yeah. So I grew up in the Pacific Northwest in a little town called Bremerton. If you're familiar with the area, there's Seattle and then there's Puget Sound, and Bremerton's right on the other side. So it's pretty rural. It's a nice mix of like rural, suburban, and city. There's a couple big Navy bases there, so you get people from all over. You get people who move there from the Philippines and people who join the Navy and are from the South, and so you get it's a real eclectic group of people there.
Gotcha.
I grew up there, and interestingly enough, I grew up without television. When I was 6, my friend and I were trying to move our family's TV, and we broke it. We actually I don't know if we dislodged the tube in it or what, but we broke it. And my parents, I guess, had been thinking about not having a TV for a while. And after that happened, they just decided not to replace it or repair it. So from 6 until I was 19, until I moved out from home, I didn't have a TV. And we'd still watch movies.
Wow.
We'd go to
6 to 19 though. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. We'd go, we'd go to movies, and I'd watch TV at my grandma's house and stuff. But it was only at home. We didn't have anything. So the fact that I ended up making films and working in TV and movies is a little interesting. I always liked daydreaming and, building stuff with Legos and playing in the woods and kind of creating my own little worlds. And when I was in high school, I took a TV production class, and there was just something so fun about and challenging about putting together little videos, because it's like a puzzle that you're telling you're telling a puzzle both with pictures and sound and with story, and all those things are all happening at the same time. Plus you have to, capture the moment when it happens, be it, narrative or documentary or what. So there's something just really super intellectually challenging and creatively fulfilling about it. And so I decided that I wanted to go further into that, and I wanted to study it in college. And so that's what I did. I went to San Francisco State and studied cinema and digital art. And then from there, I moved down to Los Angeles, and I lived in Los Angeles up until last November.
Oh, wow.
Last December, when my wife and I moved to Boise, moved to Idaho. So that's kind of the quick, down and dirty version of how I got into filmmaking.
At least you get the fresh potatoes before us,
Yeah.
So what was the first camera you ever laid your hands on, and what type was it? Was it a film camera or a digital camera?
It was a digital camera. It was an analog camera, because it was a Sony regular 8mm, because they did high 8, but they also had just 8mm. So it was an 8mm video tape camera, and I would use that I don't remember what the first camera was I used at school, but that was the first one I used on my own. And that was what I would take that with when my friends and I would go skateboarding or snowboarding. I would take that with us, and we would film ourselves, trying to be cool, doing tricks and stuff. And that was the first, camera I started actually making stuff with.
Okay, there you go. So, um, folks, you guys want to know what he did next? All right. So this is some. This is actually you pitched this before in a couple other areas, and you've actually been right, recognized for it. Correct?
Yeah, yeah. It's screened at a number of festivals now. We've won a bunch of best sci-fi awards and a writing award and best director and best U.S. film. So it's been doing all right.
So more than all right, man.
Yeah.
I can't wait people see this. Since it's been touring, that means when you made this, before we even get to the trailer, guys. Yes, I'm going to show you the quick the trailer. Was this made before or during the
So
COVID?
I shot this in August of 2019. So
Wow.
well before COVID happened.
Wow.
And
Okay.
yeah, I was almost done with the film when everything started going down in, February, March of 2020. I was finishing up the score and the sound design. And then stuff started happening, and my cast and crew is texting me, and they're like, "It's coming true." And I was like, "No, I don't want it to come true."
Yeah, it's creepy, folks. So check this out, because I have you mesmerized, and it's actually a good film, and it has good feeling to it too. Ain't no bad tunes.
Go straight home. Your mother's got more antidote. Until I get back home, you're the man of the house. Which means you have to do the hard thing. The thing that others won't. Don't stop for anything.
Ooh, folks, you see that? Don't stop for anything. That's right. So, Journey, explain, Luke, explain. What's this all about?
Yeah, so I'm a huge fan of genre films. I've been, my earliest memories are Star Wars and Willow and the animated Hobbit. The Hobbit and the Chronicles of Narnia are some of the first books I ever read, and I've wanted to make a sci-fi film for forever. It's been just my dream. My previous films have been more horror comedy sorts of things, and it's just sci-fi is just expensive. To tell a sci-fi world is tough because you often need to create a world that's different than our own, and sometimes that's with sets, sometimes that's with props. Occasionally you'll get those films like Primer or something like that where they're able to tell a really fully realized sci-fi world without having a lot of extra stuff. A lot of the fancy like film school world would be mise en scène. So a lot of the stuff you see on screen that makes the audience believe that it's a different world. So I was struggling to find a film that I could make, and I had an opportunity to participate in a grant program through this organization called Taliesin Nexus, and they had liked one of my other pitches, and we ended up not being able to do that one. But they were like, "We really like it. Has this, a boy, and he goes through this journey, and he becomes a man." And they're like, "Do you have anything else kind of like that? That's sci-fi like that?" And I was like, "Well, I got this other thing, but it takes place on a alien planet, and there's speeder bikes, and we could never make it. It's too expensive." And so I thought about it. I was like, I wonder if I could take that story and I could put it in these woods, because I would go when I would be back home in Bremerton. I would go hiking and bird watching with my dad, and in this big park that was near where they lived. And so I was thinking, I was like, could I take this story and could I like take it from this alien world and could I put it into a more like achievable location? Because this park was it's a tree farm, so they grow trees for lumber and for harvesting, and so there are roads all throughout it because they have to get the logging trucks back there.
Gotcha.
And when I was walking through, I was like, wow, you could get to these areas that look super remote and super wild, but you could get a truck back there, so you could bring cast and crew and everything, all those like parts that you need to actually make a film. And so I kind of put those two ideas in my head. The story has always been this classic kind of Western story of it's the Pa got snake bit, I got to go for antidote story. Right. So we all know that story. It's like, I don't know if it was a Gunsmoke episode or what, but it's a really, just that archetypal story of the parent is incapacitated and the kid needs to go and save the parent.
Step up.
Yeah, the kid's got to step up. The kid's got to be a man or got to be a woman. They've got to grow up, and they've got to grow up in the hardest possible situation. So I took that location and I took that idea and I melded the two together, and that's where I got Sundown Trail. And the idea of the masks and the sundowns, the mushrooms that they're hunting, that just, I was trying to think of a way that I could make the world dangerous without having to spend a lot of money to create a different visual world. So.
And who knew how effective that would be?
Yeah, not me, that's for sure.
Yeah, because mass is the rage now, and it's funny how even there, again, you did this pre-COVID. One on the line was the kid's line when he goes, "Yo, why do we gotta wear these masks?"
Yeah.
Like, oh, man. Well, this is I gotta ask him, was this made beforehand or during? Because this is insane. Just even the commentary, it's so now, But it's, you have great actors in the film. They do a great job. You have an antagonist that, wow, I really wanted to choke him myself.
Yeah.
So but then you also have empathy. You kind of, you have good stuff going. Where did this all come from? How long was this story really dwelling in you?
The first version of the story was, I wrote it, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, maybe quite a while. It really it changed in doing the lab with Taliesin Nexus. There was a development process, and there really is something positive that can come out of workshops and doing notes. And if anybody is trying to write scripts, I would encourage them to try to join a writers group or form a writers group, because getting that outside perspective can really help. It can really make a project better. In my more original versions, the kid was a little bit more cutthroat, I guess. He was a little bit more he didn't have as much compassion. And it was like just saving the dad at all costs. And in the lab, they pushed me to be like, well, can the kid rise above that? Because if he just cares about the dad, he's not really any better than the bandits.
Yeah.
But if he's able to show some compassion and show some empathy and able to reach out to somebody who's different than himself and who's got a different background and a different circumstance, and show them that there's a better way to live life, that'll elevate the film. And so I took that note, and I'm really glad I did, because I think that the message of the film, that we can reach out to other people who are different than us, and we can set past offenses and faults aside and recognize each other's humanity and move forward together. I think it's a really powerful message, and it's one that I'm proud to have put that out there in the world, and something I would stand behind. So.
No, I love it. Exactly as you say, because it is a movie I dug. It's a short film, but it packs a powerful punch. So much story in such a short amount of time. And over here, Stuart is like, it sounds like a fun film to me. So and he goes, would you consider this a film or a movie? Or would you extend this? Are you gonna make this larger than what we're seeing now?
Yeah, I have. Once the film was cut and I was finishing up the VFX and sound design stuff, I started writing a feature version of it. Okay. And I have a draft of it. I'm pretty happy with it. Still needs a little bit more tweaks. The short film, like you said, there's a lot of story in it. And in the short film, there's a lot of stuff that's just kind of alluded to, yes, or you make reference to. And in the feature, I'm really working on like fleshing those bits out So we learn more about the world, and we learn more about the Sundowns. We learn more about the Marauders. We learn more about the boy and his father and how they live. And so, finding the right balance of that, where the world is more fully realized, but also it's not laden with exposition, because I hate those bits in movies where it's just the characters like talking about explaining the world that they live in. So figuring out a way to bring those out organically. So I would love for this to be a feature-length film someday. So
I see it. And, and people are asking, where could they see this? Well, right now it's going to be on tour during the GeekFest Film Fest Year 8. And folks want to know what that is, tune in for this little commercial break real quick. There you go. Shout out to my boy Bill O, the GeekFest Film Fest Year 8 going off and finding amazing creators like yourself. So yeah, man. So it's unfortunate we won't be able to meet this year, right? At any point in time, is the show going to cross your path where maybe there's an opportunity for you to meet some of the fans?
Yeah, I hope so. I would love to travel to some of the conventions. It feels like no one really knows what conventions are actually going to take place, like IRL yet. So, but I love going to conventions. I've been going to SDCC. I've gone there for 13 years or something. Not counting last year, of course. And I went to Dragon Con a few years ago.
How's that?
Con. I thought it was super awesome. If you're into cosplay, I actually felt weird that I wasn't dressed up because so many people were dressed up there. But yeah, no, it was super cool. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to get a travel to a convention or two. Traveling to film festivals and getting to see your film play before an audience it's one of the highlights of being a filmmaker, and it's something I've really missed. Among all the things that people missed and haven't been able to do this last year, it ranks pretty low on the scale of importance, but there is something great about getting together with fans of the cinema and just sharing that bond of storytelling.
Agreed. And folks, this movie is on part of the Geek Fest. Here, Stu wants to know: have you ever gone to Emerald City Comic Con?
I haven't been to Emerald City yet, which is ironic since I'm from the Seattle area. I would love to go. I don't think they've had a film festival in previous years, and so I hope GeekFest is going there. That would be great to get to go back to.
Yeah, man. Well, they definitely deserve to be there on that show. And so before we go, I have this deck of cards that has cheesy questions, right? So I pick one at random, and it's funny that I think this is perfect for you to try and answer. You ready?
All right.
Ain't crazy. All right. So what's the cheesiest movie moment or line you can think of?
Oh man, the cheesiest movie moment
or line that you could think of. So you're like, oh, come on.
I mean, it's not even cheesy. It's just iconic. It's I'll Be Back. It's the one that
always.
But it's not cheesy. It's just it's become cheesy because it was such a great line. It's just been used over and over and over again. I think there was a really bad. God, I think it was in one of the Godzillas, and it was we need a bigger boat, but it was it was, man, I just remember rolling my eyes at it in the theater. We're gonna need a bigger gun, or it was something stupid like that. But they were trying to do a Jaws reference, and the movie was just so bad that it didn't work for me. So
Oh, and that's another question before we go. Are you Team Kong or Team Godzilla? Since you mentioned Godzilla.
Oh man, Team Godzilla. Yeah.
Team God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. That's my boy. Hey, I respect Kong, but Godzilla's my man. All right, Luke. So just let people know where can they follow you and keep up to date on where any opportunities they have to see the film.
Yeah. So you can go to my website, which is lukeasa.com. So that's LUKEASA.com. Asa is my middle name. It's a little easier to spell than my last name. And then so that has all my other short films on it. And then for news about when and where Sundown Trail is going to play, I'm on Twitter at Luke Guidici. Also on Instagram, same at Luke Guidici. So it's my first name, last name on both those networks. And so I post on there about screenings and festivals and stuff.
Gotcha. And you're foretelling the future again, because you just gave your Twitter feed. Somebody's asking here, what's your Twitter thing? Oh, okay. So
yeah.
You mentioned everything. No worry, I'll put that in the show notes later on for Luke. So Luke, thank you for your time today, man. This is a really fun film. So much success with this and even more. I definitely want to see this more as a TV show, because again, you threw so much stuff at me and just in that short amount of time. I'm like, that's world building at its best. So kudos and a good job on that, yo, for real.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see more. You're very talented, brother. Keep it up. All right.
Thanks, Al. Great talking to you.
Make sure to check out Luke, man, and make sure to check out comiccrusaders.com, undercovercapes.com, and of course go to GeekFest LA. And let me throw that up there real quick for you guys. All right, go visit that. You can see where the show is going, where you can check out all these amazing films at as well. All right. So with that, I'm Al Mega. As always, hasta la próxima, wepa. Much love, kiddos.
Thank you. We hope you've enjoyed this Comic Crusaders production. For real-time news on all things pop culture, please feel free to follow us on social media. For articles, original content, merchandise, and more, please go to www.comiccrusaders.com. Also follow along with all of the websites of the Comic Crusaders family. As always, if you like this content, please click like and subscribe to the Comic Crusaders YouTube channel.